Hello everyone and welcome to today's show with sportsbookreview.com. I'm your host Lee Martin, here to talk UFC 250 First Look with the man that lives and breathes the UFC, David Manyun. We're going to break down the main event, Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer. But before we get into any UFC talk, go ahead, hit that bell button and subscribe to our channel. That way you never miss a show. And if you're not following us on Twitter, definitely give us a follow at SBR Sports Picks, as well as on Instagram at SBR Sports. Now let's get to chatting. How are you today, Dave?
I'm great. We're currently in a pandemic, and my favorite sport is still being run week in, week out. And I think now from May 30th, tomorrow's event, we will be hitting a 9-week streak of events. So we're going to be very busy, and there's going to be a lot of entertaining fights to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Now, I'm looking at BetOnline right now, and the odds for Amanda Nunes, she's at minus 550, and Felicia Spencer is at plus 420. What is your take on those odds? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Go on.
See, we're talking about one of the greatest female fighters to ever do it. So, I mean, people could argue that those odds are small, that those odds are, are perfect, in other words. But we need to look at the opening line because, yeah, the current line is minus 550 on Nunes, there or thereabouts anyway, depending on which book you go to. But the opening line for her came out at minus 400, and the line that we have now is it's a public line because the public have moved that line to that position, and that's why it's currently at that price. The opening line would have gave Amanda Nunes an implied probability of 80%. So when we see an implied probability that high of 80%, we could see that as people believe that Amanda Nunes is going to win this fight 8 times out of 10. If these two girls have that fight 10 times, Amanda's taking 8 of them. Personally, I think Amanda could win this 9 times out of 10. So whether that be the original price or the line that the public has moved, whether we see something ridiculous as we see with insert and Shevchenko and John Jones fights where them lines, they hit 1,000. It's gonna be justified for certain people. We always have to remember that when we're doing this, it's always subjective, but understanding the odds is always going to help you, especially people that are new to betting MMA. So if you remember to bet the number and not the fighter, you'll always be safe. And it can get confusing as well. So people are probably sitting there, what's he talking about, implied, blah, blah, blah. The easiest way to probably break that down without giving away all of my secrets and tips, take 100%, 25% striking, 25% defense, 25% grappling, 25% grappling defense, and just assess the skills and pick a number you think that fighter is going to be close to. So if you think Amanda Nunes is the most incredible striker, you're going to give her 25% in that category. If you think her striking defense is incredible, you're going to give her 25% in that. So that's 50% for Amanda already without even touching the grappling or defense. So if I come back to the odds again, the opening line of minus 400, which gives us an implied probability of 80%, it sounds about right for Amanda Nunes. As I mentioned before, she's one of the greatest to ever do it, and she's coming up against a girl who only has 9 professional MMA fights in her career. Now, she has been fighting since a child, and she has taken up different martial arts and competed at a high level. But the UFC is the highest level of martial arts. So it is hard to compare the girls. But yeah, the odds, they're fair, in my opinion. They're fair, and it could go up another 100 or so, and they'd still be fair, in my opinion. Should you bet it or not is a different question, and my personal pick, we'll discuss that at the end of the show.
All right. Well, can you break down Amanda Nunes as a fighter in the UFC?
Yep. She's the greatest. She has defeated anybody with any sort of name in women's MMA anyway. So hands down, she's probably the greatest female fighter in the history of the UFC. It's hard to argue that currently. She's a two-division champion, and she has defeated a lot of her wins have came against former champions or the champion she defeated. The way that Nunes has nullified these women, such as Holly Holm, Shevchenko, Cyborg, Misha Tate, is nothing short of incredible in my opinion. As a child, I think she began in karate, and then through her teenage years, she picked up boxing and BJJ. She's a BJJ black belt under Edson Carvalho, who is a legend in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's hard to pick a bad point about Nunes, but maybe we could question her cardio after her last fight against Germaine de Randamie, because she did seem to slow down towards the end of the fight. She's been renowned for finishing girls of recent, knocking them. I mean, she knocked Chris Cyborg out, who was, before Nunes did that, was pitted as the pound for pound greatest female fighter ever. She knocked her out, which was absolutely incredible. Then she got stuck against Germaine in the sense of, I don't know, I'm not sure if it was just lack of care. She'd already beat the girl. It was the second time she'd fought. I'm not sure what was wrong, but I don't know, the finishing power, the will to finish just didn't seem to be there for Amanda in that fight. Do I take much of that into this fight? Probably not. I'll give her a pass on that one. If we have to pick a gap, like I just mentioned, maybe the cardio. Her clinch game against Germaine de Randamie wasn't very pretty. I mean, she was up against that cage when she took, I think it was the third or fourth round, she took a flying knee, and then she was getting clinched up against the cage, and I was quite worried. And I was thinking, this is a point now where Germaine could finish this fight. Nunes was backpedaling, she was backing up, and this is not a Nunes that we'd see in rounds one to three. It really isn't. She seemed to slow down considerably in that fight. I'm not sure if she took one too many blows to the body. That took the gas out of her. I'm really not sure, but at this weight class where she is kind of going up, it is a walk around where it is more comfortable weight for her, but she is going to fight bigger girls, because Cyborg was a bigger girl than her. So yeah, it is a tough one, and Cyborg was able to out muscle Spencer. The question that lingers in this one for me is Nunes going to be able to do the same? I think she can, but we'll see next week.
Yeah, I guess we will see. Now, can you break down Felicia Spencer as a fighter?
Yeah, quite similar in terms of skills she's picked up throughout her life. She's quite younger than Amanda, I think 3 or 4 years younger than Amanda. She did Taekwondo as a child. And then similar to Nunes, where Nunes picked up the boxing and BJJ through her teenage years, Spencer focused on kickboxing and BJJ through her teenage years. I don't see Felicia Spencer kick too often, so it's interesting to know that she started her striking really through kickboxing. Wow, she did Taekwondo as a child, and that is primarily striking, but Taekwondo is a bit of a funny one, because they don't go full force in Taekwondo. It's actually it's a bit of a weird martial art where it's supposed to be full contact, but they don't really go all in when it comes to the striking. So I don't take that much into accountability too much. But then, in her early career, she's dominated. She does have a lack of experience, and she's currently only 9-1. But the way she swept the girls up in Invicta and took that title, it was nothing. It was nothing to her. It was obvious that she was destined for the UFC. I think she is in the right place now. She's a big girl, man. The female featherweight division is the equivalent of the male's heavyweight division. So this is the biggest girls that we've got right now. And she walks around at 160 pounds. I'm pretty sure Nunes has to put a few pounds on, and Nunes she's not a natural 160 pounder, that's for sure. I think Nunes might be taller in height, but damn, she's a big girl, and she is strong. That is one thing I've noticed. She is seriously strong, and she has power on the feet and a ground and she has power on the feet, but her technical striking isn't pretty at all. She's not a very good striker, but as soon as she takes these fights to the ground, her ground and pound becomes some of the vicious offensive striking that I've seen in the women's division. She goes nuts when she gets that to the ground. And to be honest, the last time we saw Amanda Nunes lose, although it was a very long time ago, it did come by way of ground and pound. So it's interesting to think about that. Felicia Spencer's heavy top game and ground and pound against Amanda Nunes, who was shown weaknesses. I mean, it may have been a long time ago, but it's still present and it's still there for us to take into consideration. Now, as I said, she might not have the best power on her feet. She's gonna the game plan for her is obviously going to be to try and get this one to the floor. And if she does get it to the floor, I'm not sure how Amanda's gonna fare. I really don't know against such a heavy-bodied girl with so much strength. And yeah, she has got heavy hands. She doesn't have the prettiest striking. She is quite slow. I mean, Chris Cyborg was able to outspeed her. So, I mean, she's not going to have the speed advantage. But Cyborg had a few cuts on her face, boy, and that was from them heavy hands of Spencer. She doesn't land pretty shots. She's not the greatest technical striker, but she has power, and she's a big girl with some of the best grappling. Her wrestling base is incredible, and as we've seen in the past, a wrestling base is one of the strongest bases to have in mixed martial arts, especially in the women's divisions.
Yeah. So speaking of power, Nunes, she has a long reach, and she has the hardest punches. Like, she knocked out Cyborg, how long into the first round? That was such a short fight for her. So, do you think that this fight with Nunes and Spencer will end in a knockout, or do you think it'll go and finish in a decision?
If Amanda Nunes has studied her previous fight, I think in her head she's gonna know her best chances of winning this fight is probably going to be get it done quick. She does not want to be entering these late rounds with a strong grappler. Yeah. Especially after the lack of cardio she was taking into these late rounds in her previous fight with Germaine. So, in terms of a finish, we'll say it's a striker versus grappler matchup, even though it's not, because Amanda has an array of skills on the ground and in jiu-jitsu and grappling, but Spencer is the better grappler, and primarily Nunes is a striker. So I'll call it a striker versus grappler matchup. The game plan for Nunes, she's probably going to want to come out, piece her up, and get it done inside the first round, the same way she has with Cyborg and multiple other women in the UFC. Mm-hmm. Now, Spencer's game plan, the exact opposite. She's going to want to come out, and she's not going to go shooting for a takedown straight away. Most likely not. We're not going to see that happen. Not many fighters give away the game plan that blatantly unless they're extremely confident in that position. And I wouldn't be extremely confident in taking Amanda down, because I'm pretty sure she has either the first or second best takedown defense in this division. It's something like 80%, something ridiculous. It's hard to take this girl down. She is not easy to take it down. But we have to remember also that she's not fought many girls with the imposing power that Felicia Spencer is going to bring into this fight. So back to, is this fight going to end in a finish? I think Amanda Nunes. See, it's so tough. I wouldn't bet it. I believe Amanda Nunes is going to take Spencer out of here. It's hard for me to watch Chris Cyborg piece up Felicia Spencer so much and have such a speed advantage, and then watch Nunes versus Cyborg and see Cyborg as like a shell of herself compared to the striking performance that she put on against Spencer. So, yeah, if I close my eyes and envision this fight, Bruce Buffer in the red corner, blue corner fight, Nunes coming out and putting them hands on her. Yeah. And if Spencer's striking defense is not pretty, and if she allows the shots to connect, the same shots that Cyborg connected, if Nunes connects them, a flurry of combos, we could see her in a ball on the floor, not wanting to be involved in this fight anymore, or better yet, stone cold knocked out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, honestly. So, taking everything in that you just said, what would be your top pick for this fight, with the odds still being minus 550 plus 420?
Well, the obvious pick is Amanda Nunes to win. But it all depends what you bet in, because if you're on quite a low stake right now, and you're just building that bankroll, if you're unique, if you're using, you know, either 10 or 50s or hundreds as a unit count, then it's not gonna make a huge difference really to your winnings. So it's hard to do that type of grind when you're putting on little amounts of money. But if you are in it for long term, I mean, Nunes straight is, I mean, it's a good bet. Look, it's the odds. The odds tell you. It's all in the odds. As I said before, bet the number, not the fighter. It's hard as well. When you're a fan, when you're a big fan of the UFC, it's hard to separate the two and say, look, I love this person and I really think they're going to do this. But if the number doesn't match what you believe, then just stay away. Luckily for this fight, the number matches. I'm not the type of person that does take heavy juice numbers in general anyway. It's perfect for a parlay piece, in my opinion. It's the ideal parlay piece, and these type of numbers will always be nothing more than a parlay piece for myself personally. I know people like my guy Jay from the Sports Keg. He'll drop down 10k, 15k, 20k on that type of number. He doesn't mind paying the juice. For me, that is the most nerve-wracking stuff ever. I love my bro, but I just can't do that. I just can't do that. So, yeah, the prediction for Spencer to win, she needs to weather the storm, get this fight to the ground, have her way with the grappling. She has the huge wrestling base. Look, Ronda, the grappling base. Carla Esparza, grappling base. Hey, champions are formed from a grappling base. I'm telling you now, and there's a huge gap in the women's divisions for strong grappling. There really is, because wrestling has won so many championships, not just in the female division, but in all divisions. Now, I could see Spencer grinding this one out. People don't shoot me down. I know I've just been, you know, hyping up Amanda and how great she is. But listen, everybody has a chance in these fights. Nobody is totally counted out. At the current odds, we've got Spencer at she's got like a 20-30% chance of winning, but she still has a 20-30% chance winning. So could she grind this one out? Yeah, she could. Will she have a chance in the striking battle? Not at all. She needs to get it to the ground. I can see the path to victory for Spencer. I can see weathering the storm, Nunes slowing down, Spencer having just more strength, more imposing that grappling late on in the fight, and potentially ground and pounding Nunes out. I hate to say it, or choking her out.
Yeah.
Now, let's be more realistic.
Yeah.
Spencer winning is probable. And I won't be surprised, as other people will be, if she does cause the upset. But Amanda Nunes got 8% takedown defense.
Yeah.
She has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think she can hold her own on the ground. I think Nunes can keep it standing. With that 80% takedown defense, it's a that's bloody good stat. I'm not really a person that looks at numbers and you know, gives picks based off numbers, but that's a statistic you can't ignore. And if you you put Amanda's fights in front of you and you watch them all, you can see it playing out. So Nunes, keep this one standing. If Spencer can find success late with the drop of cardio, I think that's her only chance. But other than that, I'm not sure Spencer will even have enough in the gas tank herself. We've got to go with Amanda Nunes inside the distance. I don't know what the odds are, but I just think the GOAT, the Lioness, she's going to get the job done.
Yeah, I'm with you on Nunes. So that's all. So thank you for dropping your knowledge. If you want to read Dave's articles on the UFC, then head on over to sbrsportspicks.com, where you can check out all his articles as well as other sports analysts and their top betting explanations. Also, if you're not following Dave on Twitter, give him a follow at Dave Manyun _, and that's MANYUN for Manyun. If you're not following SBR on Twitter, give us a follow at SBR Sports Picks, as well as on Instagram at SBR Sports. And of course, like always, hit that bell button and subscribe to our channel. So again, Dave, thank you so much for your time. Until next time.